in the Uttishta means like one who has to get up from the position, in the Subrabhadam also we will sing Uttishta Uttishta Govinda Garuda Praja, correct? Like that Uttita means like a one who has arisen, one who has to wake up from their position, or from the material position to the spiritual position. The translation goes like this: situated in eternal trance and freed from illusion, impelled by the modes of material nature, she forgot her material body, just as one forgets his different bodies in a dream. So here she refers Devahuti, who is the wife of Kardama Muni and son of Kapila's mother. So situated, so the background goes like this: Devahuti marrying Kardama Muni, and they are begetting like a lot of female children. But then she is she is expecting like a, or wanted to have a son. So then Kapila Muni, she given the birth to Kapila Muni. Then immediately like a Kardama Muni leaving Devahuti. Okay, then. She is just lamenting how to perform the devotional service, why my husband left me, and what is the purpose of my life. One day she was lamenting and start discussing with Kapila Muni. So at that time, a Kapila Muni, who's the incarnation of the Lord, who's talking about the Sankhya philosophy, which is nothing but the body and matter, the spirit and soul. Spirit and soul and body. So that is how the whole interaction happens in this canto, around 6 to 7 chapters. He's explaining about the whole of material world, how it has been created, what is the purpose of our life, how the men and women unite, and how the babies are getting formed, all those details being explained. And she got all the spiritual knowledge. After getting that knowledge, she is able to, after passing that knowledge, Kapila Muni leaves Devahuti, saying that, okay, by this knowledge, you perform the devotional service. So that is how, then she is just contemplating on that devotional service, and she started like a eternal trance and freed from the illusion. She was having the illusion, impelled by the modes of material nature. Then she forgot her material body, just on us, one forgot his different bodies in a dream. How we used to. Forget ourselves in our dream. The similar manner, the devotee forgot her material bodily thing from the illusion which was arised from the illusion. So purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. A great Vaishnava said that he who has no remembrance of his body is not bound to material existence. As long as we are consciousness of our bodily existence, it is to be understood that we are living conditionally under the three modes of material nature. When one forgets his bodily existence, his conditional material life is over. This forgetfulness is actually possible when we engage our senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In the conditional state, one engages his senses as a member of a family or as a member of a society or country. But when one forgets all such membership in material circumstances and realizes that he is an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, that is actual forgetfulness of material existence. This forgetfulness actually occurs when one renders service unto the Lord. A devotee no longer works with the body for sense gratification with family, society, country, humanity, and so on. He simply works for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, that is perfect Krishna consciousness. A devotee always merges in transcendental happiness, and therefore he has no experience of material resources. This transcendental happiness is called eternal bliss. According to the opinion of devotees, constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord is called samadhi or trance. If one is constantly in trance, there is no possibility of his being attacked or even touched by the modes of material nature. As soon as one is freed from the contamination of the three modes of material nature, he has no longer has to take birth to transmigrate from one form to another in this material world. So here, the importance of body, how to forget the body, like okay, how to forget, like okay, but to come from that illusion, then how to do the devotional service been explained by Srila Prabhupada very nicely. So we will see like in the slides how we have to accept like okay, body, what is the purpose of the body being given to us, and how to go from that material portion to the spiritual portion. Let us see in a minute. So the next sloka, I request Shilpa Mataji to read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Danvat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. जी.
Taddehaaya paratah posho apyakushachadhya sambhavat babho malera vaschatna na sadhum iva pavakah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maji, you can read the translation also.
Hare Krishna, translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Her body was being taken care of by the spiritual damsels created by her husband Kardama, and since she had no mental anxiety at that time, her body did not become thin. She appeared just like a fire surrounded by smoke. Hare
So here,
Krishna.
very nice. I think someone is trying to do the night. Can I stop the night? Yeah. So her body was taken care by the spiritual damsels created by her husband. So though she was not materially attached, but still she was being served by many damsels. Okay, because Kardama created a palace for Devahuti. So she was living in that palace, and many damsels, like okay, servants being serving Devahuti. And since she has no mental anxiety at the time, so this is very important. If we want, since she didn't have any mental anxiety, her body did not become thin. Because when we are having so much of mental anxiety, our body loses a weight, like okay, with with this anxiety. But since she was not having any anxiety, she did not become thin. She appeared just like a fire surrounded by smoke. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Because he was always in in transcendental bliss, the thought of the personality of Godhead was always carefully fixed in her mind. She did not become thin. It is said according to the Ayurvedic medical science that if one is free from anxieties, he generally becomes fat. Devahuti, being situated in Krishna consciousness, had no mental anxieties, and therefore her body did not become thin. It is customary in the renounced order of life that one should not take any service from a servant or maid, but Devahuti was being served by the celestial maid servants. This may appear to be against the spiritual concept of life, but just as fire is still beautiful even when surrounded by smoke, she looked completely pure, although it seemed that she was living in a luxurious way. So here, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explaining. Anyway, she is detached, correct? Like she is free from the illusion. Why Devahuti has to take the service from the maid servant. So this also we will cover it in a bit in the slide. In the connection with like okay, many spiritual masters being served by the disciples, like why a sannyasi has to be served by the disciple um, in a luxurious way also. So that also we will cover it in a bit. The next sloka, I request Vrishabhanu Mataji to read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Swangam tapo yogamayam mukta kesham gatam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, we can't hear you. Hare Krishna. Chandana Mataji, can you read the shloka, please?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Swangam tapo yogamaya mukta kesham gatambaram daiva guptam nabubuddhe deva pravishtadihi. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Translation: because she was always absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she was not aware that sometimes her hair was loosened or her garments were disarrayed. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Daiva Guptam, protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very significant. Once one surrenders unto the service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord takes charge of the maintenance of the devotee's body, and there is no need of anxiety for its protection. It is said in the second chapter, second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that a fully surrendered soul has no anxiety about the maintenance of his body. The Supreme Lord takes care of the maintenance of innumerable species of bodies. Therefore, one who fully engages in his service will not go unprotected by the Supreme Lord. Devahuti was naturally unmindful of the protection of her body, which was being taken care by the Supreme Person. So again, here we know the supremacy of the Lord. He takes care of the necessities of all the living entities, not only for human being or not only for like an animal. Starting from like the smallest of the insect to the highest of like okay uh, human being. So but only in the human being, like, hey, we have the tendency to save and want more and not satisfied, because, like, okay, we always not getting satisfied with what we have. If you see, like, many animals or many birds, like, okay, it's not going to save for food for like a tomorrow or okay after 3 months, like, what is going to happen if I didn't get the food or like my eatables. So only humans are having uh, that tendency where we want more, we want to save for more, we were having so much of anxiety. Uh, Lord created us. Doesn't He know like how to protect us? As how the parents are like protecting their children. Uh, in any of the day, like, okay, does our children ask, Mama, will you give me food for tonight, dinner for me like tonight, or will you give me clothes to wear? Uh, they never ask, right? Like, because they know that the parents will take care of the children's needs and basic necessities. That is how, like, our Supreme Father, Lord Shri Krishna, gives us all the things, all the necessities, even though we are not qualified to get it or we are not eligible to get it, because we keep forgetting Him, but He never forgets us. This is very, very important thing to remember. In spite of our forgetfulness about the Lord or about our relationship with the Lord for so many lifetime after lifetime, but still He remembers us. He is waiting for our arrival to the Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, He keeps on hankering like, okay, when my this devotee will come. As we see in Gopakumara story, when Gopakumara passes all through, like, okay, the plants and finally reaches the Goloka Vrindavan, Lord is hugging him, and both are like going into the trance mode or the state where, like, okay, they completely forget themselves. Then Lord is asking, why it taken so much time for you to reach here to realize me? So this is what we need to realize each and every day, why I am not able to remember the Lord who has given me everything. Because at the end of the day, we came here, we didn't bring anything here while we came into the existence in this material world, and while we are going also, we are not going to carry anything, but only the devotion service we will carry. But we keep on forgetting ourselves in this material world, and we are losing the greatest of opportunity to not to remember the Lord. If we remember the Lord and do the devotional service, then we can get away from this material world so easily and so quickly. Then we don't need to take birth and death like in this material world. That has to be understood. Like that is how that is what the reason for all these pastimes being exhibited by Lord. Why Devagati has to be put into that illusioned state. Because at the end of the day, she given the birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But she been put into the illusion so that the Sankhya philosophy and the Bhakti Yoga can be taught to her via her, and she being the instrumental in Lord's plan, so that the future generations like us and many future generations can learn from this great knowledge and can practice the devotional service. That is what like okay, we have to take away from this sloka. The next sloka, I request Sudha
Hare
Mataji
Krishna.
to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sudha
Like,
Mataji, shloka and translation, Mataji.
yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dandat Pranam.
एवं स कपिलोक्तेन मार्गेण चिरतः परम् आत्मानं ब्रह्म निर्वाणं भगवन्तम् अवापः. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Vidura, by following principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from material bondage and she achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul without difficulty. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Three words have been used in this connection to describe the achievement of Devagati: Atmanam, Brahma Nirvanam, Bhagavantam. This is very important. This refers to the gradual process of discovery of the absolute truth mentioned here in the Bhagavantam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead resides in various Vaikuntha planets. Nirvana means to extinguish the pangs of material existence. When one is able to enter into the spiritual kingdom or into the spiritual realization, one is automatically freed from the material pangs. That is called Brahma Nirvana. According to the Vedic scripture, Nirvana means cessation of the materialistic way of life. Atmanam means realization of the super soul within the heart. We all know like which Vishnu is in every one of us. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, yeah. So that Atmana means like, okay, we have to realize the super soul within the heart. Ultimately, the highest perfection is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is to be understood that Devagati entered the planet, which is called Kapila Vaikuntha. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets predominated by the expansions of Vishnu. All the Vaikuntha planets are known by a particular name of Vishnu. As we understand from Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam, Ananta means innumerable. The Lord has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form, and according to the different positions of the symbolical representations in his four hands, is known as Narayana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, etc. There is also a Vaikuntha planet known as Kapila Vaikuntha, to which Devagati was promoted to meet Kapila and reside there eternally, enjoying the company of her transcendental son. So this is how like okay, we have to understand first the achievement, gradual achievement being achieved by Devagati is Atmanam. Like okay, first she was put into the illusion state, then she been given the self-realization. Okay, we are not the body, we are the soul. Okay, we have to use our connection towards the soul, like okay, to perform the devotional service. Then Brahma Nirvana means like okay, we have to completely cess all the material existence, and like okay, uh, uh, we have to connect with the Lord. Then Bhagavanta means like okay, the Supreme Personality, understand the realization of like okay, the Lord, which is Bhagavantam. We have to connect with the Lord. So that is what been said, and after performing all these things, three things, like okay, Devuti is able to enter into the Kapila Vaikuntha, like okay, which has been in one of the Vaikuntha, like okay, in the Vishnu's planet. So this how been explained. So the last sloka for today class, I request
Janaki Mataji, you can do the shloka, and
yeah,
Anita Mataji, the translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
वीरासत् पुण्यतमम् क्षेत्रं त्रैलोक्य विश्रुतं नाम्ना सिद्धपदं यत्र सा संसिद्धिम् उपेयुषि.
Hare Krishna, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The place where devotee achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapada.
Yeah. So we all know like a Bhagavatam is the conversation, layered conversation that we will see in the slide. Like before reading anything, it is better to connect what is being said and what has been told, why it has been like we have to read. So let us go into a bit of it. So we all know like a Srimad Bhagavatam is Lord Sri Krishna's body, correct? So wherein the first and second canto represents the lotus feet of the Lord, where introduction, Sarga, Visarga, and Poshana being explained. Third and fourth canto is a representation of like a thighs of the Supreme Lord, and which is talking about the Sarga and Visarga, like a primary creation and subsequent creation by Manu's pastime and Bhagavata. So we are in this third canto, where we all know like okay, Kardama Muni is one of the Prajapati, and Devuti is like okay, son of Manu, okay, Swayambhu Manu, and huh? Devuti, sorry, the daughter of Manu. Okay, so he wanted her to get married to Kardama Muni. So Kardama Muni also like he was in trance to get a beautiful wife. So that wish been granted by the Lord. So that is how like a Kardama Muni and Devuti's marriage happening. After that, like a Devuti, though come from a very royal family, she is able to serve her husband in a very humble and very chastised manner. Like so, at the time, one fine day, like she's asking, then Kadamuni is asking, like, what is your wish? And at the time. Has been asked by Devati, like, hey, I just want to have get the children and like I want to see how the glorious royally, like I just want to enjoy. So at the time, Kadamuni with his mystic power, he's able to create like hey, the seventh story building, which can float around the air, and uh, all the dancers like
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
been
Your voice is breaking, Prabhuji.
created as a sense he wanted to have a yes, ma'am. Yeah, now is it
Hare
better, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Now there is no
Yeah.
break, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I don't know if it is for
Yeah.
everybody.
Okay. Sorry for that. So then she is begetting the children, and she gave the birth to the Supreme Lord. uh, Kapila Muni, who will remove her illusion. And at the time, like a Kadamuni leaving. So that is what like we are seeing in the third canto. Then fifth canto represents like the navel, which is the sthana. It is explaining about the sthana, the geography of the universe, description of Bhumandal and the structure of the universe. Sixth canto represents the chest, which is describing about Poshana, Lord's protection to the people to transgress, like the law of dharma and devotees. Jamila Charitra, Indra, and the Chitraketu, like that is coming in the sixth canto. Seventh and the eighth canto represents like the arms of the Supreme Lord, which is talking about Uti and Manvantara. Uti is like an inauspicious inclination and auspicious inclination. Then the eighth canto represents like the Manvantara, which is the dynasty of Manu activities of Lord, like during the various Manvantara. Then ninth canto represents like the throat, which is talking about Ishanukata. 10th canto represents like the lotus face, which is nothing but our Krishna book, which is talking about the whole Ashraya, like Lord Krishna's pastime in Vrindavana and Mathura and Dwaraka and Sinapur, Krishna's opulences. 11th canto represents the Mukti liberation, and the 12th canto represents like, okay, the head, which is talking about the Nirodha, four kinds of universal annihilation. So whenever we touch Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to realize that, okay, we are touching uh, the lotus form of the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord, and we have to recite each and every word and verse in a very, very devotional manner and humble manner. So that is very important. Because it's a literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the Amala Purana, like, okay, which is the uh, king of all the scripture. In that, like the layered conversation, first Lord Krishna speaking to Brahma, only four verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then Brahma to Narada, because Brahma is explaining all these things to Narada. Then Narada speaking to Vyasadeva, when Vyasadeva in confused state, like, or like a not satisfied state, post writing all the four Vedas. Then Narada saying, since you didn't glorify the Lord and his devotees, like, okay, that is what like your lamentation. So you start writing the Supreme Lord's pastime with his devotees. Then you will be in a happy mood, like so in the banks of Saraswati, like Narada speaking to Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva speaking to Sukadeva Goswami in the village. Okay, Sukadeva Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva, and Sukadeva Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj and rishis, like when with Suta Goswami on the banks of Ganges. Okay, when Parikshit got the curse, like, okay, he will be killed by a snake in 7 days. Then Parikshit and other munis been assembled in the banks of Ganges. So at the time, like Sukadeva Goswami comes as uninvited, and he is start narrating the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Amala Puran. So then Suta Goswami, who was a part of like, okay, when Sukadeva Goswami narrating the Bhagavatam to Parikshit, so he was present in that particular assembly. So then Suta Goswami speaking to sages headed by Shaunaka, rishis on the banks of Gomati River, like in Naimisharanya. Then Vaisampayana narrated like a to King Janamejaya, so Parikshit's son. So these are some of the places like where Srimad Bhagavatam being narrated. Many places like with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, across the globe, like every day in the morning, all the ISKCON centers, like, okay, we are able to get the mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam recitation. So that is really like a greatness of Srila Prabhupada, and we always like, okay, pay our obeisances to all the acharyas, like, okay, who taken enormous of effort to pass that knowledge, like a transcendental knowledge, to all the living beings. So we are also very, very fortunate. First, we need to accept that, okay, because not everyone can attend or to know about Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to be very, very thankful to our acharyas, and we have to be show our gratitude to all our acharyas and all our great Vaishnava and the Parampara, because with their mercy and blessings only, we are fortunate to get this transcendental knowledge. We don't know like how much Shukruti we are able to get, like, or how much devotional bank balance we are going to accumulate by just attending this Srimad Bhagavatam class. Like, okay, so please be mindful of that. Hare Krishna. So benefit of hearing these pastimes, like why we need to hear, because Shinvadam Svakada Krishnaga Punya Shravana Kirtanaga Hridayanti Stohoi Abhadrani Vidunodi Sugar Sadam. So it cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his message. How Devavuti's lamentation been removed after hearing the knowledge from his son. The similar way, when we hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Acharyas and great Vaishnavas, then it will remove the material enjoyment. It cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from our heart, and we just need to have the desire. Okay, then Yashyam vai Sriyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushi Bhakti Utpatyade Pumshaga Shoka Moha Bhayapaga. Just by giving the oral reception, our feeling for devotion service to Lord Krishna will appear, and which will extinguish the fire of lamentation. Like all our anxiety will go, and the illusion and fearfulness also will go. So that is the reason we need to hear. And uh, one more thing is like Shanvada Sraddhaya Nityam Granantascha Swachesisam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. So if one taken this matter very, very seriously, then Lord Shri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short span of time. So we all want to have Krishna manifest in our heart, correct? Like just hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam very, very seriously, we can have Krishna in our heart. Okay. So what is in it for me? Like okay, by hearing this pastime, these pastimes, like okay, been performed by the Lord to attract the conditioned souls towards to Him, and it reminds us to remember Krishna, and we have to appreciate and then attracted towards like okay, Lord, which will get like a aspire. We have to have the aspiration to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Like these are the reasons like why these pastimes been performed by the Lord and narrated by all the acharyas. Then we have to realize the Krishna consciousness by using our real eyes via the spiritual master. So these are the various Krishna's energies like in the material creation, the gross element, subtle element, all those things been explained. So just in the third canto also, these energies been explained in detail. So it will give us a reference, good reference, how the whole material universe been created. Like okay, so that we can understand from this chapter also. So third canto, from 25th to 33, the teachings of Lord Kapila to Devahuti been explained. So she asked 7 questions. Okay, first, please dispel my illusion to Kapila Muni. Then for each question, like Kapila is explaining, from the 25th chapter, if you see, like he's talking about Adhyatmika Yoga, which is talking about the Sankhya Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga. Like Sankhya is analysis of the matter and spirit, which is body and soul. We are not the body, we are the soul. Then it is talking about Ashtanga Yoga, like okay, which is the Yama, Niyama, Asana, like okay, all those the Ashtanga Yoga process being explained. Then Bhakti Yoga, like okay, then he is elevating the Bhakti Yoga to Devahuti. Okay, superior after Bhakti, characteristics of a devotee being explained. Okay, there only 3.25.25 it will come. Satam Prasanga Mama Virya Samvido Bhavanti Hritkarna Rasayana Kadaga Tadyojana Apavargadmani Shraddha Vatir Bhaktir Adhika Vishati. Okay, so Bhakti will come like when we hear all these pastimes and when we assemble with the devotees. So that's what like okay, it is a very important sloka, Satam Prasangam. So then she's asking bhakti to attain you easily, like okay, how I can perform the bhakti to attain you very easily. Then he's talking about like okay, he's responding to that query. Bhakti is beyond the modes. Like okay, we will see in the this one like how sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti comes into the picture, how we can elevate ourselves into the bhava bhakti, like that we will see it in a minute. So first, like a Bhava Bhakti, not everyone like will get it. So for that, we need to have the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So that is what like been explained. So we have to gradually elevate ourselves like with via first we need to understand the knowledge, then we have to perform the Sadhana Bhakti so that like a Bhava can exist in our heart, or like it uh, can come into the existence, like okay, so that is how we have to gradually elevate our bhakti. So then she's asking about the process of jnana, like, okay, the knowledge, what is the process of knowledge? Then for that, like he's explaining Sankhya, the characteristics of Prakriti, Purusha, and the elements, like how this material world been created, and how Karya, Srishti, and Virat Rupa, like, okay, been created. Then in the Jiva, in the conditioned state, like how he's able to attain the liberation by performing the devotional service. So that is how the Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga being explained. Then she's talking about the process of yoga, which is called like a limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, which is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Dharana, Dhyana, all those things. Like, okay, first what we have to do, we have to stop doing, then how to sit, how to, all those things. That Ashtanga Yoga process being explained by Kapila Muni to Devhuti. Then path of bhakti in detail, like a various path of bhakti. She's asking like what are the various of path of bhakti. Then he's explaining in detail various classes of bhakti, characteristics of pure bhakti, angas of bhakti. Like, okay, if you see in the nectar of devotion also there are various details being explained, correct? Like, what is the raganuga bhakti, sadhana bhakti, vaidhi bhakti, like, okay, then bhava bhakti. So all those things being explained. Then dangers of offenses also, like the Nama Aparat, Vaishnava Aparat, okay, then Dham Aparat. Likewise, various offenses been explained, and what are the dangers of doing those offenses. Okay, that also been explained, even in Nectar of Devotion also. Then nature of time, how the whole of how that second, millisecond, nanosecond, then the hour, the day, all those characteristics of time also been explained the 29th chapter. Then continual birth and death of jivas. Okay, how like I mentioned, men and unite, like, okay, and how the new from the fetus, like, okay, how it is getting formed, how the baby is like, okay, getting formed in each week, like, okay, what is the growth of the baby, like, okay, how the hand, when the hand has been created, when the fingers been created, when the brain been created, all those details like have been explained in the 3.30th third canto, like a 30th chapter. So sorry, 31st chapter, like all those things will be explained. So then we are into like the activities of Kapila in the 33rd chapter. So in the 33rd chapter, like, okay, if you see activities of Lord Kapila, then Devgati is praying about the glories of the Lord, and how she received the final instructions, like, okay, from the Lord, and she is explaining like the how she can attain the perfection. Then activities of Kapila also she is mentioning, and then like a Falastuti. So if you see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, like a lot of prayers are coming. That also we'll see it in a bit. Here the summary, like, okay, she is thanking the Lord. She is showing the gratitude to the Lord for explaining the whole of Sankhya philosophy and Bhakti Yoga, and she is showing that gratitude like a which helps to remove the illusion. So in the 1 to 8th sloka, after hearing Kapila, like Devgati became free from ignorance and offered prayers, and she's again like how Yashodamai is all the acharyas are like praising Enatavam Saidana Yashoda, like, okay, how the Lord becomes the taken the birth from your womb, correct? That the similar way, Devgati is very uh, amazed, like to see how Lord taken birth from my womb. Okay, even Brahma takes birth from you, but at the same time, like I given the birth to you. What good fortune I have done, like, okay. So that is how she is showing her gratitude and amazement to Lord. Then she's praising the Lord, like you are not the ordinary child, like you are the same Vadapatra Sai who was tasting your own lotus feet, like, okay, you put it in your mouth to see like why all the devotees are like so attached to my lotus feet. His qualities are unlimited and inconceivable powers. Okay, when the great Brahma could only meditate on your glorious spiritual form, does not see you, because like when Brahma appears on the lotus feet of the lotus flower, like from the Lord's navel, he could not able to see, like, okay, but I am able to give you the birth, and why did you choose me? Like, how did you choose me? So that is what, like, she is amazing. Then she is just like, okay, appreciating the purpose of his appearance, okay, so that he is able to teach the Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga to Devuti and to all of us, okay. Then even Chandala, she's appreciating the importance of like a chanting. Even a Chandala chants the name, hears, remembers the Lord, like, okay, he can be qualified to go to the spiritual world, okay. So that is what the importance of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting the glories of the Lord. Then Kapila replied, like, okay, then Kapila is saying, you will achieve the prema by following the easy path of bhakti that I taught, okay. Then please have this faith in this as following, like, so that your fearlessness will go, and you will not take like a birth and death in this material world if you follow the instructions of Kapila. Then Lord Kapila took permission to depart. Okay, he is leaving. Then Devahuti engages in bhakti, perform austerities. Then the opulence of palace of Kardama Muni, like have been explained from 15 to 19. If you see, like the palace been decorated with luxurious beds, couches, marble walls decorated with jewels, beautiful gardens, flowers like a tree, and constantly singing Gandharvas. In spite of all opulences, Devahuti is still lamenting for her son, because her son departed her. Though all these opulences were there, but still Devahuti was lamenting. Um, how we can understand, even in the case of Bharat Maharaj also, the I think Vishwamitra Muni and other Muni wanted to test, okay, whether Bharat Maharaj was like, okay, acting as if like, okay, he's missing his brother, or really he's showing, okay, his lamentation in the separation of Lord Ram. So on the search of like a Lord Ram, one fine day in the morning, like when everyone was tired and sleeping, usually to wake up the king and the prince, they will do like a lot of trumpet and all the bugles and all those things, like, okay, so that the king will wake up with a nice sound, correct, like a nice atmosphere. So then he was thinking like he was in a Bharat Maharaj was in a kingdom, or he was king like himself as king, to test that particular thing. While one particular day they were blowing all these things by thinking that Bharata Maharaj will wake up in a royal manner. But Bharat Maharaj, like, okay, woke up, then immediately he is searching for Lord Ram. He is thinking, since Lord Ram came, they were blowing all these shankha trumpets and like, okay, bugles. So that is what he was thinking. Then they could able to understand, Vishwanatra Muni and other Muni, like able to understand, oh, Bharat Maharaj's lamentation is like a real, because he was not thinking himself as a king. He was searching for Lord Ram, like even wake up from his sleep also. So that is how, in spite of all these opulences, Devahuti is still lamenting for her son. So that is what we need to understand. Like, okay, whatever material opulence we have, we should not be so attracted to that, like, which shouldn't let us forget the Lord, correct. As one sannyasi was visiting one very opulent guy's house, and the opulent guy was saying to sannyasi, Maharaj, like, you are very very great, because you renunciate everything for Lord, to attain the Lord. Then Maharaj wanted to give some knowledge to this opulent person. Then Maharaj is saying, no, no, I am not the great renunciator, because I renunciate the material things to get Lord, but you are greater than me. Then this opulent guy was like confused. what Maharaj is saying, how I can be like a more renunciate than Maharaj. Then Maharaj is saying, no. I renunciate material things to get Lord, but you renunciate the Lord to get material things. Again, I'm saying like you renunciate the Lord to get the material things. So you are greater renunciator. Then this was hitting hard to that opulent guy, and he was thinking, "Oh, Maharaj, like yeah, I'm doing a very bad things because okay, like you mentioned." I should not renunciate, like, okay, I should not go behind this material opulence. I need to go behind the Lord only to do the devotional service more. So that is how, like, we need to keep on reminding ourselves to remember Krishna. We should not, we should renunciate anything and everything to get the Lord. So that is our mood. That is how, like, okay, Devagati was performing the devotional service. So then Devagati's practice was like she became unattached, began to meditate constantly on the Lord. Then Devati's achievement was like she was able to practice the Bhakti Yoga with renunciation, with a proper knowledge and like a pure mind, because the knowledge being received from the disciplic succession from Kapila Muni. Her mind fixed in Bhagavan, okay, freed from the material designations and attained the bliss, okay. Then eternal external disposition, like that is what we seen in today's class. She forgot her body, like okay, but did not become thin because of no anxiety. And she was completely absorbed in Vasudeva, body protected by the Lord. Then she attained the perfection. Like, okay, she quickly attained the perfection at Siddhapada. Like, okay, so she could able to do the self-realization, that Atmanam, Brahman Nirvanam, and Bhagavantam, correct? Like these three things, she could able to do it. Then her melted body now as a flowing river, anyone by bathing in that, like, okay, will attain the perfection. So this is what been seen. Right. Then Kapila went into the eastern direction of Ganga Sagar, which is nearby Calcutta. So he was given a place to stay by ocean personified. Even today, like, okay, he still stays there for peace of the three worlds. One who hears or teaches this knowledge, concentrating his mind on the Lord, attains the Lord. So this is the main reason, like I was going through the full gist of it, because Lord himself confirms in the Falastuti, and it has been confirmed by Vidura and Maitreya Muni. In that, like, okay, one who hears or teaches this knowledge, concentrating his mind, okay, on the Lord, attains the Lord. So we all want to attain the Lord, like we have to hear and teach us this knowledge without any reservations. Like that is very, very important. So, in the first and the second sloka of this today, the 27 and 28, we came to know, like, okay, it is related to body, and she is not attached to the body, and like she was doing all the things with the devotion service. So how we can perform that devotion service? So in the Bhagavad Bhakti Veda, like as part of the nectar of devotion, we could able to see, like initially it was given Samanya Bhakti. Samanya Bhakti is like, okay, it is a general description of devotion service and how to perform the devotion service. Then we have to practice that. Okay, knowing the knowledge alone does not yield the result, correct? We need to practice that knowledge. Okay, that is what sadhana bhakti. Then while practicing, slowly we will get into the ecstasy mood. Okay, that bhava bhakti will come into the, it will manifest in our heart. Okay, if we keep on chanting, if we keep on doing the devotional service, like then the bhava will come into the picture. That is how, like, okay, one time one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how I can become perfect in chanting. He was saying, like, you keep on chanting, and one day or the other, like, you will get into the perfection, correct? The experience makes a perfect man, correct? The similar way, so if we keep on doing the devotional service, like we will get into the bhava bhakti, and from that bhava, like the prema bhakti will manifest. Okay, so that is how we need to understand. It may not be easy for us to go like directly to bhava or prema bhakti, but one or the other day, like if we have the desire to do the devotional service in a proper manner, like then Lord will fulfill, okay, to get into the Bhava Prema Bhakti for sure. Okay, but there is no doubt on in that particular thing. So then, health is number one, chanting is number two, service is number three, and then comes reading. Why I put the slide here? Because devotee is able to disregard the body, and she is able to concentrate on the devotional service. It may not be very possible for us. We shouldn't ignore the body. We need to understand what is the purpose of this body being given to us. Okay, for that reason, every moment, okay, Srila Prabhupada mentions always health is number one, because if we have, how we can do the service, we need to have the good body, correct? For to maintenance of the body, we need to take care of our health. So health is number one, chanting is number two, service is number three, then comes reading. Like this, we have to keep it in mind always. Let me go through like why the various prayers like been explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Some of the prayers were Devgati prayers, like Prahlad prayers, then Kunti Maharani prayers, okay, Uttara prayers, Gajendra prayers, okay, Dhruva Maharaj prayers, and Advaita Acharya's prayer to come as like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, correct? He was praying to the Salagrama like with the Tulsi leaf. So these are the prayers like we all have in our daily life, like prayers are inseparable from us. What we need to pray for, that is very important, correct? Like we can pray for good health, which will be taken care of by the Lord. We need to pray for the devotional service, correct? Like a devotional service is very, very important. We have to pray, Lord, I am sure that, okay, I'm not doing up to my capacity. So please give me the empowerment to do more, to do better sadhana, to do like, okay, better service. So that the pray in the prayerful mode, when we are surrendering to Lord, Lord will accept and grant the desire. The spiritual desire we need to have, and when we have it without any adulteration, Lord will fulfill that desire. That is what we need to understand. So these are the prayers like, okay, when the devotee is in a distress condition or expecting the distress, like, okay, they always wanted to remember the Lord. That is what these prayers like will teach us. Okay, so as I mentioned, the body being given, okay, why the body being given to us? Like, okay, we are in the condition material world. So as long as we are having this body, we need to perform the devotional service by connecting with the Lord, correct? But we are conditioned in this material when we think we are the body. But the same of us, if we think, okay, we are the soul, then we can connect to the Lord by performing devotional service. So that has to be understood. So we were with Krishna in the Goloka. We had some enjoyment, or we wanted to enjoy like, okay, independently from the Lord. So that is how this material world been created. In that there are 84 lakh species are there. In that the human form is the topmost, which we got it. We have to be thankful for that, and we have to utilize that. Like a purpose of our life is to perform the devotional service by connecting us. We are not the body, we are the soul. So that has to be like, okay, every day this has to be our mood. The Bhagavad Gita teaches we are not the body, we are the soul, correct? The Srimad Bhagavatam teaches how to perform the devotional service by connecting and realizing the soul, correct? We have to perform the devotional service. We can't ignore the needs of the body. Very, very, very important, because we shouldn't neglect, okay, I'm completely devoted to devotional service. Okay, let me do, but the body needs rest, correct? We are conditioned. So we need to balancely like take care of our body as well as like our spiritual needs. Because if the body is not there, we can't perform the duty. As long as we are in this material world, we need to take care. Gary was childhood friends. after so many years, like okay, they both were into different phases of their life. So recently they met. Then Radhanath Swami was asking Gary, what you are doing? Okay, the Gary was saying, I am running a very big gym, okay, to take care of the body of many humans. Okay, so I make them fit by shaping their body and by taking care of their body. Then Gary was asking what you have been up to. Okay, then Radhanath Swami Maharaj is saying, okay, um, I am the spiritual teacher, like okay, who's teaching. We are not the body, we are the soul. Then okay, uh, uh, I am saying, okay, take care of the body. You are saying we are not there. Then uh, His Holiness Radhanath Swami, with his knowledge, like he is saying, no, no, we are not against each other. We are complementing each other. In fact, yes, we are complementing each other. How? The body is given by the Lord for us to perform the devotion service. So consider the body as a temple. So you are teaching us how to take care of the temple. I am teaching, after taking care of the temple, how to take care of the deity in the temple as a soul, super soul, like okay, how to reach him, how to take care of him, like okay, how to perform the devotional service. That is how we complement each other. This is one of the great, like okay, lesson we can learn. So we should not neglect our body needs, like okay, the minimum required things like has to be taken care. So taking care of the body, like how three things, like okay, if we avoid, then we can take care of the body very nicely, like uncleanliness, which is if you are not taking care of the bath, obviously many disease will come, and we will go into the ignorant mode. Okay, but at the same time, if we take bath like a thrice in a day, which is for sannyasi or brahmachari, like a probably for grihastha 1 or 2 times. One time for sure, like okay, 2 times, 2 times, like okay, suggested. So then we reinstate ourselves into the sattva guna, correct? The uncleanliness, like okay, we will get away. Then the second thing is like a overeating. So we should not overeat, because overeating like will kill our devotion service. It increases the mental anxiety. So we have to be always mindful of when to eat, what to eat, like how much to eat. That is very important. Then mental illness or stress. It is self-imposed. Like okay, the mental illness we create our stress and our mental illness. Correct. No one asking us to increase our debt or wealth. Correct. We invest like somewhere in some mutual fund or like some property or some stock market, etc., etc. And when we see like okay, the prices are going down, it creates a lot of stress and anxiety. Correct. Like okay, so reduce our material needs, which help us to focus on the devotional service. So that has to be like okay, very thoroughly practiced. So some of the key points, like with this, I just would like to end the session. So we have to be always, and one more thing, like okay, why Devahuti accepted the service from all the damsels, like okay, though she was completely detached from the material world. Sometime she given the chance for all those damsels. By serving Devahuti, they are able to understand the devotion service. As how the spiritual master, he doesn't need any service from any disciple or devotee, correct? By serving the spiritual master, who will pass the knowledge and blessings to disciple as well as like all the glories to the parampara. So he giving the opportunity for all the devotees to get that knowledge and to perform the devotion service. That is what, because the spiritual master is a representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Krishna couldn't able to, Krishna can manifest to each and every form of it, but he given the chance, he given to all the disciples as a manifestation of spiritual master, like he comes. So that is how the spiritual master accepts the service from all the disciples, though he don't want like any service from anyone. So that is how like we can connect in the second sloka of today, how Srila Prabhupada was explaining, like though Devagati was materially completely detached, but still she was taking the service from the damsel to give the chance to those damsels, so that they achieve the perfection by serving Devagati, the great devotee of the Lord. Okay, so key points, when you leave everything in Krishna's hand, you will see Krishna's hand in everything. So we have to realize Krishna in each and every one of our lives. Gopis were not greedy to serve Krishna, but they are greedy to get to see Krishna, as the best service from anyone. So if we want to get the mercy of Krishna, then obviously we need to pass through like a mercy of Srimati Radharani. Recently we celebrated Radhashtami. So if we want to serve eagerly to Krishna, then Radharani is the one first approves that, and she will recommend ourselves to Krishna. It is not always sometime what we get to do. So what we want to do, but we have to do something which won't be our preference for Krishna's sake, as a service to Krishna, and the Vaishnava. So we may not like that service, but still we will be enforced to do that service, so that a Krishna would be satisfied. Three services, like a leading kirtan, giving lecture, and doing arti, to do the deities, bring attention frame to the doer of the services. So we have to be very careful in doing those services, because many pride will come. So we should do only when being asked to do, without any with some hesitation. But menial services, such as cleaning the temple, or cleaning the altar, or cleaning the place, that has to be done without any hesitation, and with gratitude also. So we have to perform devotion service always. So by using Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata, the devotee perform to attain the Bhagavan. So that has to be understood. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, it has been said, it has to be Kirtaniya Sadagari all the time. Satatam Kirtayantoma, Ananyas Chintayantoma, Yogi Unchita Satatam. So that always is very important. Okay. Nirantara Krishna Nama. Okay, continuously we have to do this particular devotional service. Thanks for giving me the opportunity once again, and whatever things you could able to grasp from this session. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas. So if anything said wrongly, please accept my humble uh, uh, forgiveness, and humble apology. It may be due to my ignorance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Can you please show the last two slides? I want to take a screenshot, Prabhuji.
Yeah, sure.
Last
Mataji. Yeah.
last. Okay, and the next one. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
It
Prabhuji.
was an excellent class. Prabhuji,
Hare.
can we take
Thank
some
you, Prabhuji,
questions
for the
if you're
wonderful
feeling okay,
explanation.
What,
And
Mataji?
Prana-
Can we take
Thank
some
you for the
questions
wonderful
from the
Yeah,
devotees
sure,
if you're
sure,
feeling
sure.
okay, Prabhu?
Sure, Mataji, sure, no problem.
Yeah, devotees, you can raise your hand so that we can. Sunila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
My question is related to dangers of offenses you mentioned, Prabhuji, like in today's class. Even after coming to bhakti, we may be undergoing so many difficulties. How to differentiate these from the sufferings of non-devotees? How to understand whether this is for my own purification or consequences of my offenses?
Uh, First of all, there is no word called non-devotee, Mataji. Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. Correct? Everyone will get their chance, very quickly, and they may be a very very minimal time left over to become a devotee. So that is one important thing to understand. The second thing is how to differentiate between offenses, correct? There is a detailed study in the Nectar of Devotion, how this aparat, what is that aparat, how that aparat becomes in a unmanifested state, and it will be in the manifested state, and why we are suffering, that karma, whatever karma we are getting, some may be related to offenses we have done in the past, some may be due to the offenses we are currently doing, or some may be offenses which is going to manifest in the future. So the detailed study in the Nectar of Devotion, I highly recommend to read those chapter. I can send you in the thing also, where it has been referenced, because recently I was going through my Bhakti Sastri, the Nectar of Devotion. It has been explained by Sri Rupa Goswami in a very, very detailed manner. So in that, if we go through, we will get to know it is not very simple thing. Okay, it can be explained in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It is in detail. The each aparat, if we are whatever we are committing knowingly or unknowingly, some or the other way, will create the offenses for us and for our all the family members and etc., for our future generation and past generation. So we have to be very, very mindful of those things, that aparat. And there are various aparat, nam aparat, dam aparat, then Vaishnava aparat. Vaishnava aparat is the is a topmost, which Krishna never forgives anyone. So that is very, very important to understand. So we have to be always mindful not to commit any aparat, not to comment anyone. Okay, even if others are doing the mistake, it is not our duty to correct. Okay, it is our duty to pray for them to the Lord. That we can do. Then Lord will give them the empowerment to correct it. If we take
Prabhu,
ourselves, yeah, Mataji.
sorry to interrupt. Prabhuji, the symptom of our aparadha, when we do some offenses, that is, falling down from our devotional service. But
Yeah,
in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 5, it is mentioned that even if a devotee falls down circumstantially, he doesn't undergo any ritualistic prayaschitta or ceremony, but he can be reinstated, he can be situated in reinstatement in the devotional service once he follows the rules and regulations of the devotional service, or he executes
yeah,
devotional service. So why
yeah.
is it mentioned like that, Prabhuji? So you need not do
No,
any
no.
prayaschitta.
No. The prayaschitta means in the things which is being said in the Vedas. Okay, that is what he refers, and that too not may not be applicable for all the aparats also. If you read in detail, it may be a particular some ignorant manner, if you are doing that, but the Vaishnava aparat, it is very, very hard to come out from the Vaishnava aparat, point number one. Point number two, prayaschitta, if you perform some bad activity, okay, if you do this puja, then this activity will go off, not in that manner. That is what the prayaschitta means. Okay, what we have to do is we have to follow the rules and regulations of devotion service, to not to commit that aparat. That is what he stresses, of following the rules and regulation. If we follow the rules and regulation before chanting, we have to read a 10 offenses of the holy name. If we do the 10 offenses, that is a rule to follow. If we follow, you are not going to commit any aparat. Okay, Vaishnava aparat. As a Vaishnava, our duty is to respect everyone and not to expect any respect from anyone. If we do that particular rule, then you are not going to commit any Vaishnava aparat. That is what the rules and regulation. We have to be very thoughtful of, mindful of, and we have to get it implemented. The prayaschitta and other things, I mentioned, for anyone who is not performing devotion service, they may see, okay, if I kill any animal, if I do this particular puja, then my sins will be nullified. Those kind of prayaschitta, we are as a Vaishnava, we should never do that. That is what it means, Mataji, in my limited capacity of understanding.
So 18.66, Krishna says that aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So if one surrenders to Krishna and takes to devotional service, so every papa will be taken care of. But you just now mentioned, like, Prabhuji, like prarabdha kuta bijam. So how to understand this, Prabhuji? So which which is taken care?
Maji, see, we have to surrender to Krishna without thinking. Surrender to Krishna. He's saying like, hey, I will take care. But as a duty of like, okay, if we commit aparat, then definitely the suffering, it may be like, it may not be years of suffering, it may be a seconds of suffering. Because Krishna wanted us to purify, he wanted us to nullify our karma, then only come back to the spiritual world, so that we never come return to this material world. So definitely like a that context where he is referring, you remove all the uh, dharma practices. Okay, you surrender to me. If we surrender to Krishna, we will not commit the mistake because we will follow the rules and regulation, correct? We will not get a chance to commit mistake, or we will not have any intensity or any intense like a to commit mistakes. So that is what in my limited capacity I could able to understand, Mataji. What we have to think about is like, okay, from which context it has been said, because nectar of devotion is like a much higher elevated, like okay, to perform the devotion service. So in that, like the aparat, we should be aware of, okay, let me not commit any of this aparat, because if I commit aparat, i will I will not be able to meet Krishna in any of my lifetime. So that has to be understood, rather than like, okay, we are thinking too much about, okay, Krishna said, okay, sarvadharman parityaja, so let me commit any kind of aparat and I will surrender to Krishna and he will take care of my well-being. It may not be possible. For someone, Krishna may be able to do that also. Krishna will be able to do that, but for some reason, like we don't want to go into that particular mood. Let us be in the mood of, okay, let me not commit any aparat. We should be fearful of all this aparat. Like, okay, let me not commit any aparat. Let me let me surrender to Krishna, like without committing any aparat. Knowingly or unknowingly, I might have committed so many aparat till today. Let me surrender all those things to Krishna. Let me not commit any aparat, like from now onwards. That has to be our mood. That is what I could able to think of, Mataji. My
Thank you so much.
answer may not be the right one which you are expecting, because I
It's
could
a
only.
little bit confusing, Prabhuji, because see, if somebody asks me, like, even after coming to devotional service, why you are suffering? So I'm a little confused, because is it
No,
my
no.
prarabdha karma I'm suffering, or is it, I don't exactly know how to.
No. That suffering is, Mataji, like, okay, as you see, uh, you are just in a storage box, okay? You are just this year you are cultivating the rice in the paddy, okay? You are getting a very good rice, okay? You are putting it in the storage box, and the next year you are cultivating the rice. It is not coming good. It is a very rotten rice. That rice you are putting on top of it, correct? When you are opening at that time the storage box, you will get good rice or bad rice.
Bad rice only, the one
No,
which
no,
is
no.
on.
No, no.
Good rice
The
first before that.
opening. Yeah, correct. Yeah, opening is like a from the down.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
you,
good one. Yeah,
okay.
Prabhuji.
Then you are getting the good rice, correct? So karma is such a manner. Okay, if you do good, not necessarily like a, you will get good, because you are suffering for whatsoever you have done bad in the previous life. We never know what we have been in our previous life. Only Krishna knows, correct? So we know only in this life whatever we are doing. That is the reason any devotee, if you take, okay, did we experience any calamities like being experienced by Prahlad Maharaj? Prahlad
No,
Maharaj, see, his father is towards to kill him. Okay. Usually our parents will protect even if we do many bad things, correct? His father is against him to perform the devotional service. He is pushing from the top of the cliff. He's putting like him into the room of snakes. Okay, he's putting him into the fire, but not even a pinch of moment. He is questioning Lord Krishna. Krishna, what are you doing? I am trying to do the devotional service, but you are putting me into this distress state. No, never. He had the pull of trust towards the Lord, and he was doing the devotional service. That unflinching faith, the Prahlad Maharaj is one of the prime example. You take many devotees, like they've been put into so much of distressful state, but never they questioned, Lord, why you have done this to me? They always thank Lord. Take Kunti Maharani. She is asking, invite the trouble, please give me more trouble so that I can remember you, I can connect with your lotus feet. That is what the great devotee always aspire for. We have to be always grateful to Krishna. Krishna, I should have got so many bad things, but because of your intervention, I got so little of this issue. Please, like I am always thankful. So let me do the devotion service in the way you are asking, in the way you are guiding, in the way acharyas are guiding. This has to be our mood while performing the devotion service. The one who is not performing the devotion service, they may have like a reasons for not performing many things, correct? Even if you say anything and everything, they will say, okay, no, this is not correct, that is not correct. They will give always reasons, but we should not succumb to that particular reason. We always need to be very mindful of we need to protect our devotion. We need to protect our sadhana rather than getting succumbed to others' comments. This is what like, okay, then only we can slowly and gradually like develop in our devotion service.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
So,
Mataji, yeah.
attitude of gratitude should be there.
Exactly, yeah. That is very important, yeah. Because
Thank you.
Krishna never wanted his children to suffer, correct? Like he will not put us into that situation if he don't know how we are going to get out of it. So have that confidence, have that gratitude, have that trust in Krishna. He will help us because more than us, he wanted us to come to the Goloka Vrindavan, have that particular mood. But we have done so much of sins, so much of like a aparat, so that our aparat and our sins are getting nullified by our suffering. Like that has to be our mood. Even that suffering also, Krishna don't want us to go through. But we invited all those sins and troubles and the sufferings. That's all.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, Machi. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Machi.
Devotees, I don't see any raised hands. Prabhu, can we end the class?
Yeah, sure. Like if
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Maji.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Danvat
Prabhuji,
Pranam.
can you share this PDF, Prabhuji?
Yeah,
Prabhuji,
sure,
can I
Maji.
also just say one thing, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I've heard in some lectures, like sometimes Krishna performs some kind of, like a surgery in a devotee's life, so that the karma are exhausted faster. So
Yeah.
if the person is like, having lot of faith in Krishna and has the strength to take up that, then problems do come because the devotees ask for that. And then like it's a surgery. So when the problems come, and then it is for purification. So sometimes even that happens as per Krishna's
Yeah.
will.
Yes, Mataji, very nicely said. Yeah, correct. How the surgeon uses the knife like to do the surgery so that the disease being purified. Disease being like cured in that the patient's life. The similar manner, like okay, Krishna does the surgery like he put us into that situation so that like we come out from the disease. Very nicely explained, Mataji. Yeah, correct. Hare Krishna. Thanks for sharing.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, with prayers, we'll end the class.
Okay, Maji. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpatarubhyascha
kripa
kripa
sindhubhyascha
sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Shri Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Class,
Hare
with the
Krishna.
summary that really helped.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Thanks,
Krishna.
Lalmanji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
End the
Hare
class, Prabhuji?
Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, please. Hare Krishna.